Good evening. Let's call our regular business meeting to order, and I'll ask the treasurer to call the roll.
President Baker.
Present.
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice President Cole.
Present.
Ms. Gibbs. Ms. Hudson.
Here.
Mr. Peretti.
Here.
Ms. Reyes.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Let's move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Dalen Allen from Columbus Prep for Boys, 8th grade, who's a Boy Scout of Star Rank, Troop 456, to come forward to the podium and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone, please be upstanding.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was going to ask David Baker to say the pledge because today's his birthday, so happy birthday, Mr. Baker.
Happy birthday.
All right, I'm just going to briefly read through our agenda so we all know the work before us this evening. After we adopt the agenda, we'll hear from public speakers, if we have any, after which we'll take up a special recognition for our nurses. We'll then hear from our interim superintendent and our internal auditor and our treasurer, after which we will take up our consent agenda, after which we will recess into executive session. Is there a motion that we approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Treasurer?
President Baker.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Vice President Cole.
Yes.
Ms. Hudson.
Yeah.
Mr. Peretti.
Yes.
Ms. Reyes.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. We do not, as of the beginning of the meeting, have any speakers. Is that all right? Very good. We do not have anyone to address the board this evening, so let's move on then to board matters. National School Nurses Day and Week. I'd like to ask Kate King, who is our director, and Amy Hotler, who's our supervisor of Health, Family, and Community Services, to come forward to the podium. And I'll briefly read some of the resolution. Whereas May 9th, 2018 has been widely recognized as National School Nurses Day, and whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and in ensuring students' academic success for more than 100 years, and whereas the school nurse is a key to our spirit of success, an invaluable member of the education team, and experienced professional responsible for providing high-quality health care, counseling, and educational services in the school environment, and so on and so forth. Now therefore be it resolved that the Columbus Board of Education does hereby honor the many contributions and accomplishments of the school nurses of the Columbus City School District and their efforts meeting the needs of today's students by improving the delivery of healthcare in our schools and their positive impact on our community in recognition of National School Nurse Day, which was May 9th, 2018. So, Nurse Kate, as I'm fond of calling you, would you like to share any comments?
Thank you, President Baker, members of the board, Superintendent Stanford. I would like to make some comments. First of all, I'd like to thank the Columbus City Schools Board of Education and the administration for caring enough about our students to support 110 licensed school nurses. I think that's quite an accomplishment. I think we're the biggest health services department in the state of Ohio. Because of this team effort, health and healthcare are considered essential components of education, which does not happen in every school district. School nurses provide expert healthcare services to our students, families, and staff. Because of school nurses, our students are healthy, safe, and ready to learn. Amy and I are here representing all our school nurses because this board meeting had a conflict with the Wellness Champion dinner tonight. And in many of our schools, the school nurse is the wellness champion for the school. So they wanted me to say thank you to the board for their support, and they wish they could be here, but they're celebrating being wellness champions. Thank you so much.
Good. Is there a motion that we adopt this resolution?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Treasurer?
Vice President Cole.
Yes.
Ms. Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Any of my colleagues like to say any comments? Mr. Brown?
Just want to say thank you for all you do. I know the importance of nurses in our lives and recognize and appreciate all the good work that school nurses and all nurses do for all of us. So thank you for the service you provide our students.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Vice President?
Thank you both so very much for leading what I think is a stellar group of school administrators in health that not only do the job extraordinarily well every day, but actually set the bar. You got an award last year, I think it was, for being a bar setter with your work and what you do. Thank you for bringing the sensitivity to the work that you do and the understanding. I'm a dad. I've been in the room with you guys when my daughter was coming into her womanhood. And that can be scary, it can be embarrassing, it can be trying. But you made it something that was comfortable for the both of us. And I just thank you for the work that you do every day. God bless you.
And if there are no other comments, I'll just ask you both to come forward to the table so we can take a quick photograph. Board member? Let's give those two and all of our nurses a round of applause. Thank you very much for being here this evening. And as there are no other board matters on the agenda, I will turn to the interim superintendent and ask you to provide your report.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I will try to make this as brief as possible. But before I introduce our guest presenters that are here this evening, there are two important updates I would like to share with the board. First, on the continued efforts in this community to keep our young people safe, last night our partners in Columbus City Council approved new gun regulations aimed at reducing violence in our neighborhoods. Among the new regulations are prohibitions against brandishing imitation firearms in public and selling them to minors. It is also illegal to make alterations to the markings on imitation guns, such as removing the orange caps on the tips of the barrels, which are designed to help distinguish them from real guns. As a part of our Safer Together campaign, we have always said that none of us can make safety happen alone. Our district has a zero-tolerance policy on the possession of any kind of weapon, even imitation weapons, and our students face disciplinary actions, including the potential for suspension or expulsion if found to be in possession of any item deemed to be potentially dangerous. I applaud our City Council for listening to the demands of our young people and for taking the first steps at common sense gun regulations, particularly the other sections of the new code that bans bump stocks and better protects victims of dating violence. At the same time, though, this new regulation intensifies what can be extreme consequences for our young people who choose to possess these weapons outside of school. Whether in our neighborhoods or at home, our young people need to understand the dangers of having a gun, a taser, or any other type of weapon, even a fake one that looks real. our families must continue to have thoughtful conversations about gun violence with their children and about these imitation guns as well. I am proud that we have stepped up, and I am proud to share that our school student leaders, those who came together back in March to help us organize activities as a part of our Safer Together Day, they came back together again today with support and guidance from our Chief Academic Officer, Mrs. Gillison, to continue that work. The returning students have already begun planning ways to promote a safer and supportive culture and climate in their schools starting on the first day of school next year. It is proof that when we work together to prioritize safety, when we act together to protect each other, and when we speak out together about the need to end gun violence in our community, we are truly safer together. The second brief update that I have this evening is a reminder that we are down to our last 11 days of the 2017-2018 school year. The career completion ceremonies at Fort Hays and Downtown High School are next week, May 23rd, and the first graduation ceremony at Columbus Scioto is on May 30th. And then we have the rest of our high schools following that May 30th initial ceremony. For those seniors who have yet to fulfill all of their graduation requirements, our teachers, staff, administrators, and mentors are working extra hard to help them reach the finish line over the next 2 weeks. And we're very, very pleased with the work of our administrators in the buildings with our mentors, helping our students cross the finish line this year. We are also dedicating resources to help all of our students have a safe, healthy, and productive summer. Summer school enrollment, as we mentioned the last time we came together, has already begun for our elementary and middle schools. High school summer enrollment will begin on June 4th. The Columbus Recreation and Park Department has their Schools Out website up and running with information of summer activities and discount opportunities for Columbus City Schools families. The Go Lunch Summer Meal Program launches June 11th, and it offers free nutritional balanced meals served at more than 200 locations throughout the Columbus area. And the Columbus Metropolitan Library welcomes students to read all summer long, and our students can earn special prizes and digital badges with their 2018 Summer Reading Challenge. Information on all of these efforts during the summer to keep our students engaged can be found on the Columbus City Schools mobile app. Everyone here should have it already downloaded by now, but if you don't, please go ahead and download it. And you can also visit our newly redesigned website at ccsoh.us. Now, it is time for our special guests to present this evening. Let's begin with our high-tech talents in our robotics team from Walnut Ridge High School. As you well know, some of our schools have earned national recognition for their STEM or robotics teams. As I mentioned, here this evening, we saw a revival of the robotics team at Walnut Ridge High School this year. And so before our students wrapped up their year, we wanted to bring them to this board meeting to share their experiences and their creations. I will now ask Walnut Ridge Principal Richard Stotts to introduce the students that are here with him this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Stanford. President Baker, board members, thank you for having Walnut Ridge High School, the Scotts, here this evening to share with you with what's been happening in our STEM program. STEM's been at Walnut Ridge for 2 years now. First year was just a club, after school club activity. And then this past year, we introduced it to the curriculum as a class. At Walnut Ridge, we are significant, courageous, outstanding, and talented. And that's exactly what these All-Star students demonstrated at the past 2 years in Springfield, Ohio at our competition. But I don't want to take any of their time. I just want to give kudos to Mr. Waba, Mr. Chamberlain, and Mrs. Robinson, who put many, many hours during the day and after school towards this group of children so they could excel in the robotics competitions. So I want all my students to come up and introduce yourself to the board, please.
My name is Sandra. I've been doing this for the past 2 years.
My name is Musei Damise. I've been part of the Ridge Robotics team for this past year.
My name is Deja Banks, and this was my first year.
My name is Akira Bagley, and this is my first year.
My name is Jania Taylor, and it's my second year.
Thank you. Okay. I am LaShonda. It's LaShonda Robinson now. I just got married this summer, but people called me LaShonda Craft before, so if I go between both, then I'm sorry. I had a PowerPoint just to show you pictures because, as you can see, Mr. Waba and Mr. Chamberlain are holding our robot. They're actually already tearing it apart to get ready for the fall. There's a little competition, and they are already making changes. So I wanted you to see, just for 2 seconds, the experience that the students went through. Mr. Chamberlain. Yeah, I can give her. Okay. This was a 6-week project, 175 hours squeezed into 6 weeks, building this robot from scratch. Where do I, oh yes, here's our team at the competition. Maybe. We had to sell stuff to try to make money for our group. We were working with bare bones, minimum tools, and we were able to build a functional robot, as you can see, with very minimal tools. We started off by doing all the planning. There is no kit to tell you how to put it together. We literally take metal, we take wheels, we take wires, and put them together. The students are responsible for calculating every single piece in which, what shape and how it is put together. And you can see in these pictures that the students are working very hard. They build it, not us, not the adults. The students program it. We need computer programmers. We were collaborating with some of the groups at our Fort Hays program to try to get the expertise to help us build this robot. So I'm just showing you the pictures here. I have a video of the actual robot in action. The object of the game was to throw the box out into a basket. So hopefully, we'll see if it works. There we go. You can see it shoot the box out. Now the next picture shows the robot kind of moving around. They programmed it so that it could communicate with a joystick. They did this programming on a computer. They impressed me because I know nothing about it, but they did this on their own.
We want to shoot the box, but we got to get it.
Okay. This is the competition. They did all of this in preparation, for the competition. It's kind of going too fast. And I'm about to have our student Sandra take over and discuss the competition because the students did phenomenally well. So I'll let her take over the conversation.
The theme this year was Power Up, and there were different tasks. And we had to figure out how to collaborate with teams because you never knew who you were going to be teamed up with. Sometimes you'd be against someone, and other times you'd be together. There would be like 3 teams on either side of the field, and we had to play several times. And we had to, it was really cool to go around and see all the other designs because everybody was given the same basis. And we had to figure out how to make the robot from it. And even the people who had similar ideas of what to do, they would like be completely different robots. And it was cool to see how your design compared to others' designs. And last year, we were second to last, like out of all the teams. And this year, we were able to get 27th place because we knew a lot more about how it worked and how to manage the time, how to use the tools. And we had a lot of help, but we still weren't able to work as well as other teams because we had limited materials and not everybody on the team had the level of expertise that other people had. We actually had to have one of our coders come back from another school to teach the other kids how to code because they didn't know, but he had to teach himself last year. Yeah. Anything else?
I just want to commend these students. Going from 61st place last year to 27th place, being in the top 50% is a huge. Thank you very much.
Thank you and
Thank you.
congratulations. Shh, should we take pictures? Shh, do we have time for a picture?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Do you mind being in a picture?
Yeah. Okay.
I wonder how much that thing weighs. That's a good idea. That is a good idea.
So the board has made an executive decision, and they would like to have the pictures with each of the remaining presenters. So if we could have the young scholars presenters to come up and take pictures, and the students also. Yeah. And then we'll present. And then after we take the pictures with the Young Scholars Program, then we will bring up the Harmony Project. Come, pictures first. Okay, and then the Harmony Project. You guys can stay at the podium, but Harmony Project, if you guys can come up. No, no problem. So, as I mentioned a little earlier, graduation season is fast approaching. But this fall, our June graduates will be headed to more than 100 different colleges and universities across this nation, including some of the nation's most prestigious and nationally ranked universities and colleges, including our very own hometown, The Ohio State University. Columbus City Schools, as we all know, has a long and deep partnership with The Ohio State University, and so do many of our students. Tonight, we celebrate the latest class of Ohio State's Young Scholars. These young people were first identified in middle school as potential first-generation college students in their families. These students then made the commitment to invest their time and talents to keeping up our grades through high school. I'm concerned because that's typically the emergency. Yeah, we are in the right place. Yeah. We're in the right place. We're in the basement. Yeah. I don't think so. I think I'm looking at we okay? Okay, all right. These students then made the commitment to invest their time and talents to keeping up their grades through high school. And in exchange for that commitment, The Ohio State University is ready to invest in them with a 4-year scholarship. To introduce our 2018 Ohio State Young Scholars is Trina Phillips from The Ohio State University.
Thank you. So good evening, President Baker, Vice President Cole, Treasurer Bahoric, Internal Auditor Smith, members of the board, and Interim Superintendent Dr. Stanford. Thank you so much for allowing us to be on your agenda this evening. My name is Trina Phillips, and I serve as the program coordinator for Columbus. And in my duties, I recruit students in 8th grade from Columbus City Schools, and through 9th through 12th grade, I visit them at their home schools and have one-on-one meetings with them, just talking to them about their grades, classes, teachers, study habits, time management, all of that good stuff. And then they come to see me once a month on campus, and those workshops are 2 hours once a month. Each class comes to see me, and we talk about college readiness. So we're talking about the things that are going to allow you to be successful, not just for The Ohio State University, but for college in general. And so this past year, this school year, I have served 123 students, 9th through 12th grade. And yes, I go to just about every high school in the city to visit them. And this year, we just recently sent out our acceptance letters to 38 new 8th grade students. And so I have with me this evening the director of the Young Scholars Program, Dr. Rochelle Woods.
Thank you, President Baker, for having us, Vice President Cole, Treasurer Bahoric, Internal Auditor Smith, members of the board, and Interim Superintendent Dr. Stanford for having us tonight. I have the pleasure of introducing our current 12th graders that are graduating / just graduated, and they will all be entering The Ohio State University in the fall. These students have received scholarships that are worth a little bit over $550,000 over 4 years. And so I'm just going to call them up by name and tell a little bio about them. Tulay Barrow. Tulay is the valedictorian of Centennial High School. She has been a student ambassador for the district for 2 years. She has been on honor roll for all 4 years. She is the secretary of the National Honor Society, and she is part of Centennial's National Rube Goldberg team, and she has been accepted into an honors program at Ohio State. She intends to major in biology and public health. Keela Brewster. Keela is graduating from Columbus Afrocentric Early College. She is a member of the National Honor Society. She has been on honor roll for every quarter of high school, and her intended major is language arts and English. Jenaba Njaye. Jenaba is graduating from Walnut Ridge High School. She is a member of the National Honor Society, the yearbook honor roll, and she is taking College Credit Plus courses. She is planning to major in political science. Hamidou Njaye. Hamidou is also graduating from Walnut Ridge High School. He was student government freshman class president, student council sophomore president. He has been a Columbus City Schools student ambassador for 2 years. He is National Honor Society president. He is a part of the Law and Leadership Institute, the Upward Bound program at Ohio State, and he is the class valedictorian for Walnut Ridge. He also has quite a bit of honors in track, which I won't read. And he is planning to major in civil engineering. Esther Pascal. Esther is graduating from Columbus Alternative High School. She is the vice president of the National Honor Society. She is a tennis player at Northland High School, a student senate member, a student ambassador. She volunteers at Nationwide Children's Hospital and Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. She has been a part of Honor Roll. She has taken AP courses, and she has lettered in varsity sports, softball, and soccer. And she is her high school class valedictorian. And she's planning to major in microbiology. Tony Pringle. Tony is graduating from Columbus Downtown High School. She is a member of the National Honor Society, the National Technical Honor Society, and she has had straight A's throughout high school. She has volunteered at various soup kitchens across the area. She is a member of the Art and Poetry Club and the varsity wrestling and track teams. And she is planning to major in agricultural business. Kavan Reed Scott. Kavan is graduating from West High School. She is the salutatorian of her class. She is senior vice president of the student council. She is an honor student. She is a participant in the Cowboys track team. She has received the Ohio High School Athletic Association Award for Excellence. She has received the West High School Spirit Award, and she was nominated for the National Academy of Future Scientists and Technologists Award of Excellence from Harvard's John C. Marther. She plans to major in marketing with a minor in neuroscience. Christopher Santos Cruz. Christopher is graduating from West High School. He was a JROTC drill commander. His rank is second lieutenant. He has obtained over 200 community service hours, and he has taken numerous AP courses. And he is planning to major in city and regional planning. Brady Solavong. Brady is graduating from Columbus Alternative High School. He has participated in Ultimate Frisbee State for 3 years. He received a 5 on the AP Chemistry exam, and he interned with the OSU Welding and Engineering over the past year, and he is planning to major in engineering. So this is our Columbus class of scholars. I won't give our overall spiel, but I'll just say briefly for those who don't know, we are a statewide program, and so we serve students in all of the 8 major districts in the state of Ohio, plus Lorain is in there as well. And we work with about 1,000 students statewide if you include undergraduates and pre-college students. And so Columbus is actually at this point our largest city, and we've really expanded in Columbus and plan to continue to expand. So thank you so much.
Before I ask my colleagues if they have any comments to share on that particular presentation, I do need to share that. There is currently a tornado warning, and so no one should leave the building. And in fact, you should stay on the lower level until further notice. Supposedly, it will expire at 6:30, but stay tuned. Any comments from? Sure. All right. All right. We may have questions later or comments later.
Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We know. Yes, we know. We love celebrating our students, so thank you for being here again this year. Mr. Superintendent?
And finally, we want to recognize the power of music and community service. Both of those came together with the Harmony Project. The Harmony Project has empowered dozens of our students at South High School through weekly after-school arts and community service classes, all of it designed to foster creativity and responsibility with our young people. These students learn new songs and invaluable life skills that serve them as they embark on new journeys in higher education, careers, and service trips facilitated by the Harmony Project each year. Here to introduce the Harmony Project at South High School is Assistant Principal John Kuiper. There he is. Who will tell us a little bit more about the Harmony Project in this year's trip.
Good evening, Dr. Stanford, members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity. On behalf of Principal Baker at South High School, the administrative staff, and all the teachers and community members and families, we just want to publicly acknowledge Harmony Project, David Brown, its director and funders, for again engaging with South High School. So David, thank you for all that they have done for South High School. They are partners with other community organizations, including KIPP and some other institutions. We're very grateful that they've adopted us as their home high school. I wanted to introduce to you sophomore Alasia Jackson, graduating senior Summer Lambert, executive director of Harmony Project David Brown, and program coordinator Shelby Franklin.
Hi.
That you see why we chose Alasia to be here today.
I'm going to tell you my favorite part about the trip. During the Atlanta trip, my favorite part of the trip was the Civil Rights Museum. And part of what was displayed there, of my favorite part, was the memorial of the Mississippi bombing, and the memorial for Emmett Till. I really enjoy Harmony because, first of all, I like to sing, and it teaches me responsibility. It's not like we can just get in Harmony and like we're allowed to do it. No, we have to come to school on time. Our attendance have to be cool, our grades, and we have to show up to all Harmony practices. And yeah, I think that's it.
Hello, I'm Summer. I've been in Harmony Project since my freshman year. I am now a senior. Some things that I've learned from going on the trip every year, I learned about responsibilities with budgeting. Every year they give us money and they tell us like to spend it wisely on food and making sure you still have spending money and being able to enjoy yourself. One thing I liked about the Atlanta trip was going to see the Martin Luther King Church. It really touched me being able to actually go inside and be in the same room that he once preached in, and it like impacted me a lot to just be able to experience that because not a lot of people get to actually go out the state and to go for free. And it's about giving back to the community and just being able to do service learning projects with Harmony Project just taught a lot to me throughout my 4 years at South High.
And Summer is part of our 6th graduating class, and we are proud to say that in 6 years we have a 100% graduation rate of every senior that's ever participated in Harmony Project. We're going to miss her. So one of the misconceptions about Harmony Project is that, and the fault is in the name of the program, is that it's about music. Music is just a tool. These kids learned 2 songs this whole year. That's it. So the music wasn't really the main focus. The focus was that the song that they learned, they sang through Skype, through our friends at the table over here, with women in prison. And they were able to meet women who were incarcerated and sing with them and sing a song about being who you are no matter where you are. And that there's a saying that our program at the women's prison repeats over and over again, and that is, where I am does not define who I am. And that same statement applied to us at South and in our school. This year was our 6th trip. We have gone to New Orleans, we've gone to Birmingham, we've gone to DC, we've gone to New York, and this year we went to Atlanta. In preparation for going to Atlanta, the kids watched a few of edited Dr. King's speeches down to 2 minutes time so that their attention span would grasp it. And they did some interactive games together where they could kind of learn a little bit more about what we were about to see. And in Atlanta, as Summer mentioned, we visited the Martin Luther King Center, the Civil Rights Museum, but they also gave 4 hours of their time at the Atlanta Food Bank, learning about hunger in the community. Then right back here last week, they were cleaning in their neighborhood around South High School. In New York, they built a community garden on the Lower East Side, and then they restored a community garden in the Bronx. The idea of Harmony Project is for these kids to get a social education beyond the school education that they're getting, because we believe that it's not our job to do what you're doing, because you do that well. Our job is to try to help provide that social connection so that they know the world beyond the one that they live in, so that they're better prepared to be citizens in our country upon graduation. So we're proud to partner. We're proud to say that as a nonprofit, this year we will have reached the $500,000 mark of the money that we have put into South High School since 2012, 2013. And we're pleased that local arts organizations are doing the same thing, that we realize that it is a team effort for us to work together to surround these kids in our community with love and compassion, to teach them empathy, aside from teaching them science and math and reading and all the other things. So we thank you for the opportunity to be there. We thank Mr. Kuiper for his leadership, and we are honored to be a part of it. And just to let you know, we're leaving you with a folder, because just last week we launched a new program at Champion Middle School, where we had about 80 students in the program, and in their folders are letters from the principals, teachers, everybody who said, we want the school board to support this program at Champion Middle School, and we're ready to go and ready to fire them up over there. So if y'all will support it, we're going to be there next year and launch this new program at Champion Middle School. Thank you very much.
Is anybody going to sing while you're here?
No.
Okay, all right.
President, members of the board, what a wonderful, wonderful display of not only creativity and innovation with our robotics team, but also academic scholarship with our partnership with Ohio State University and the Young Scholars Program, and then also to have academic scholarship and community service with the Harmony Project, and using the skills and talents of our children to really make a difference in this community, but also across this nation. And so it is an impressive display of the spirit of success that lives in Columbus City Schools every day with our young people across this school district. And so with that, Mr. President, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Stanford. And I'll ask you to just say a few words about the parade that we had downtown for Columbus Afrocentric Early College basketball teams.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had the opportunity to celebrate the success of not only the athletic achievements of Afrocentric Early College this year, but we also celebrated their academic accomplishments as well. Our young people on the girls' basketball team and the boys' basketball team achieved athletic success this year, with the girls winning their 6th state championship this year. And we believe that they are only one of maybe 3 high schools across the state that have achieved that accomplishment. And Coach McKinney says he's going to bring home a 7th title next year. And our boys team did just such a wonderful, wonderful job this year. They, however, was unable to complete the mission. They came 1 game short of achieving a state basketball title themselves, but they are runner-ups this year. Which is a major, major accomplishment. Being a former athlete myself, there's no greater prize when you're in high school than to win a state championship. And for the girls and the boys team to have that type of success in one high school is really, really amazing. And so we had a really great celebration, not only with the high school, but we also had the 3rd through 8th graders there as well. And so it was really great to see the smiles on their faces and to see them enjoy that opportunity to see what it's like to be in high school and to achieve that type of success academically and athletics. So it was a great, great day. Yesterday, the mayor came out and said a few words and gave them a special commemorative medal. And also Councilmember Stenziano came out and said a few words as well, and congratulated our young people on their accomplishments as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And thanks to our friends at City Hall for helping us to pull that parade together very quickly and for hosting us then on the steps of City Hall. Thank you very much. Colleagues, any questions or comments on the superintendent's report? Mr. Vice President?
Just very briefly, thank you, Mr. President. Thank all of you who had the opportunity to come today and share your gifts and your accomplishments with us. I remember watching my son play video games, and he got a little too deep into it, and I was really frustrated. And I gave him a fairly long dissertation on the superpowers that all of us have, that we were born with. He's looking for it in the video game, and I'm telling him he has it. First, you have the ability to speak things into existence. You have the ability to say something, and it happens. You have the ability to form. You have the hands to actually form and shape and mold things. And some of you will be molders and makers. But it all started with a vision. It all started with your ability to see it before it was even finished, to see it at its completion and make it happen with words and with your deeds. I'll share one quick story, and that's about my brother over there, David. I knew David years ago when I was in politics as an operative working behind the scenes with other candidates. And he and I worked together to raise money and do all kinds of stuff for candidates. And he was always a light in the room, always come into the room with humor and energy and just a light to the room. But I remember when he was walking away from that life where he said, I'm gonna start this harmony project, we're gonna sing, we're gonna do this and that. And I was like, word, okay, great, that's cool. And to see what it has become today from the time that he actually shared that with me just in my ear, like this is what I'm gonna do, to see how many lives he's been able to turn around and change and provide opportunity for as a result of that work is an absolute honor to even have been privy to when you just told me in my ear that time. I thank you for that. And for our students, I'm extraordinarily proud of you all. You are the promise of prosperity to this district. You are the proud, shining banner to what it means to be highly educated, prepared for leadership and service, and empowered for success as citizens in a global community. If you did not know, young world, that is our mission statement, and you have honored it. You have honored it very well. To Mr. Allen in the back, get these kids' numbers, man. Hook up with them. You want to figure out how to go to college? They just showed you. God bless you, and thank you for coming.
Any other comments on Dr. Stanford's report? Board Member Gibbs?
Just really want to take the opportunity to thank all of you. I think it's allergies, but no need in sending it back to Walnut Ridge or South, right? So glad that you are here, and just really want to thank all of the supporters. And I know people don't necessarily see this part, and I've watched young scholars in that program grow. I've watched the Harmony Project, and people in my family are actively a part of it. So Dr. Barbara Spencer-Ayers, she will be excited that you're here, and even to Walnut Ridge. I don't think you should have to scrape for anything. I don't think you should have to beg for anything. I think what you have demonstrated, the service, and you're so right, it is very little to do with music, but it's a lot about the murals and a lot about what you're going to bring to the Ohio State campus, and a lot about not just building that robot from scratch, but building confidence from scratch. I am very proud of each and every one of you and look forward to what you bring. And when you are then in your career and you become the Davids and the principals and the coordinators, I want you to just take one moment to mentor another young person and provide an opportunity, write a check for an amazing program, chaperone a trip, help one of these robots, the next generation, to buy some metal so they could build something. And if we all just keep giving back, this celebration will never end. And so congratulations, and I look forward to all of your continued success.
Board Member Reyes?
The only thing I would like to say is, young scholars, I've met some of you guys from the seniors to the seniors to sophomore program. Ohio State can be very, very large, and what I heard earlier was being a first-time student. That was me. And I actually had to travel all the way from South Texas, almost about 2,800 miles. The biggest thing that I had to learn, which I think a lot of folks that are here will tell you, is reaching out and asking for help. There was 2 people in this room that said they worked with you throughout this program to get you to the Young Scholars Program. I'm sure there's a lot of teachers. I'm sure that if you want to be a member of the Harmony Project, they've got adult members, even if you don't know how to sing, because David got me out there singing, and I am horrible. But if you're feeling lonely, you're feeling deflated, which it can happen when you're in such a large university. What I heard, and Mr. Cruz can attest to this, what I heard from a lot of the students that did the seniors to sophomore program when they attended the university is they had a lot of challenges. It was very scary, but what helped them was they reached out to somebody else who could calm you down and help you understand that sometimes we fail, but it's about getting up and continuing and working at it. There's a lot of us here that had A's in high school, and unfortunately, some of those don't come as easy when you go to college, especially at Ohio State University. Do not despair. It's okay. At the end of the day, it's about finishing that long career that you'll have at Ohio State and going and fulfilling that. So please, I know that Ms. Alicia Gillison and Dr. Stanford, even Ms. Johnson, and any member of this board, if you're feeling that you need help, please remember, you still always will have a Columbus City School family. So reach out, because your success is our success. And if you fail, we fail. And so please, please, please do that. David, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love the Harmony Project. Again, I will refer everybody to that program, even after high school. He has many, many, many different types of programs that will fit what you need. So I encourage you. And the robotics team, I don't know, they're still here. Congratulations. I look forward to your continued climb up the ladder. I know that you will win this. I will speak this to you. Will win that competition. So congratulations.
Mr. Brown?
Just very briefly, I want to add my thanks to all of the adults who supervised, who coordinated, who helped teach, who gave of themselves to our students. This is one of the best school board meetings that I've been to during my time, because we're focused on all of the right things. We see such incredible promise in all of you students, and it's now in your hands. Just as you've gotten yourself to this point in your educational careers, you've got a ways to go. It will go quicker than you realize. It really will. But enjoy it and get everything you can from it. And to all of you, thank you. Thank you for making it easy to do this work that we do because of what all of you do. And David, obviously, Marilyn and I thank you again for everything you do for the community. Wonderful. Thank you.
Any other comments from my colleagues? Hearing none, Mr. Superintendent, does that conclude your report?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. It's been a privilege to sit in the room with all of you, and we are incredibly proud of you, and we thank you very much, teachers and parents and other support staff. We know that it doesn't happen without you, and I am hoping to hear soon if the tornado warning has been lifted. It has. It has. So you are free to go. And we'll continue on with our meeting. And we're going to move on then to our internal auditor. Madam Internal Auditor, have you anything to share with the board this evening?
Thank you, President Baker, Vice President Cole, members of the board. Just briefly, at the last Audit and Accountability Committee meeting, the committee did vote to forward on to the board the amended Audit and Accountability Charter. There were no major changes to the charter. The main changes were to have our charter align with changes that the IIA has made. So that is part of your consent agenda. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. That concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Internal Auditor. And as people do leave, and I know most of them already have, there are still strong winds and possible hail and other inclement weather outside, so do be careful as you depart, whenever you do depart. Any questions for the Internal Auditor this evening? Any comments? Hearing none, let's move on then. Thank you very much. Let's move on then to our Treasurer.
Thank you, President Baker. Members of the board, tonight we're going to be reviewing the monthly financial report for April. This was reviewed last Thursday at the Finance and Appropriations Committee. As we have most often seen for each of our monthly reports, revenues continue to run above plan for the month. That variance is about $19 million favorable, about plus 2% on overall revenues of $843 million. Total expenditures, again, running year-to-date under plan, about $18.9 million under plan on total of expenditures of $700 million, or about 3%. Under plan. Cash balance obviously is then up year to date. and we anticipate that to continue. As we look at three major groupings of our revenue, you can see property taxes, state revenue, and then all other revenue items kind of pale by comparison, but this demonstrates the relationship of actual to plan. And within that, on property taxes, there was no real activity this month. Collection periods have ended. And so we know for sure that this favorable variance will remain for the balance of the year. State aid continues to be very much on plan, just within 0.4% of plan, and it's about 1.1 million year-to-date over plan. It looks like from the state, they're projecting almost $340 million to be received on $341.5 million that we had in the plan. So we should be about 1.6 million under plan or thereabouts, but again, very small percentage variance. When we break out all other revenues, the largest item here is the property tax allocation or rollback and homestead exemption. We had anticipated, this is just a timing issue for this variance, we had anticipated over $10 million in this month. It did not come in, but we will receive that in the following months. The settlement statement that we received for the March settlement indicates that we'll receive almost 16.8 million. We had 17 million in the plan for the balance of the year, so that will end up being right on plan. All other revenues, the third from the left bar here, above plan for now. That's mainly because, as I mentioned before, Medicaid reimbursement has come in earlier. We have a large spike in June, anticipating that from a timing standpoint. So this too will work itself out and likely end up right on plan for the year. No activity in the other financing sources, and that kind of closes out revenue. So very much on plan in most instances, above plan in several areas, but overall we're ahead of where we had anticipated to be in our original plan. When we look at expenditures, again, three major categories: personnel, which includes salaries and wages and fringe benefits. Unfortunately for us, the second largest category is the deduction for charter schools or community schools, and then grouping all the others, you can see that they do combine to kind of pale by comparison. Personnel ran just slightly under plan for the month. That year-to-date now under plan, and also what we refer to as a favorable variance in expenditures when they run under plan, about 8.6 million under plan. When we extrapolate out that 1.8% variance to the end of the year, it could mean about 10.6 million under plan. So that obviously is it's in the direction we want it to be, and that feeds into a larger than anticipated ending cash balance. The other good news about personnel is that the annual appropriation stands at about $587 million, and with a projected expense of only $580 million, we don't anticipate having to modify that appropriation. As you recall, we had a discussion how the appropriation didn't anticipate any collective bargaining agreement increases. The plan that we put together did, so there's some differences there. So we'll be under plan, but we won't be over our appropriation, and that's a good position to be in at this point. When we look at, we'll break out charter schools and all other expenditures and talk about that, but charter schools came in about $1 million under plan again this month. Looks like it's going to run about $185 million based upon the latest information from the state, and we had, I think, about $191 million appropriated. You'll see that that $6 million favorable variance in what we've got planned and appropriated will help cover some over-plan variances in tuition for students that are outside the district, our students that are in other districts. So that works out really well from an appropriation standpoint. Purchase services are still running under plan. We expect that to continue. The end of the year be about $2.4 million under plan. Supplies and materials, we spent quite a bit of time at the meeting discussing supplies and materials. We've been able to dig into that a little bit further, break out some prior year activity from current year activity, and look line by line. And a couple of things. Number one, for what is currently budgeted on a revised basis for supplies and materials, it appears that we're about 82% expended there. But what's interesting to know, we've been watching transfers within various operational units, and it appears that there's been a net movement from supplies, materials, and purchase services over to the capital outlay, and yet capital outlay is not fully encumbered or expended. So we anticipate from a behavior standpoint that what will likely happen is that a lot of that capital outlay may be encumbered, and then those will carry over as expenditures into the next year. But all in all, this is going to run under for the year in terms of non-personnel. Capital outlay, as noted, it's running ahead of plan because of prior year expenditures carried forward, but on a budgetarily basis in a current year side of things, they have about 2.6 million budgeted right now, with still 1.6 million available. So we think that's going to be encumbered. They'll be issuing purchase orders here at the end of the year. All of that, I think, closes itself out at the end of this week as we cut off purchase order activity as we close out the year. No activity on the debt side, and minimal activity in other objects for the month. So that, again, expenditures running under plan for the year pretty much. And we will see somewhere in the $40 to $50 million range of an increase in cash balance over what we had originally anticipated. As I mentioned to you when we did the 5-year forecast, these types of variances that are a result of our conservative planning have been factored into the 5-year forecast, which is slated for approval in the consent agenda tonight. So this is, it's all fitting together as we anticipated. And again, that's been factored into the plan you're adopting tonight. The improved picture that we see in that 5-year forecast is in part due to these favorable variances. It is also largely a part of the $18.3 million in reductions that we went through this past 3 or 4 months. That was our reaction when the state revenue cap didn't come in at the level that we had anticipated. So all in all, you know, we see where we're headed. It's an improved picture for the forecast. We're ending the year where we now pretty much expect to have been. So all of this, I think, is good news. I don't know, Board Member Purdy may want to talk a little bit more about other things we discussed at Finance Committee, but I'll leave that up to him. So April, good news, 5-year forecast, good news, adopt that tonight. We'll be wrapping up the fiscal year about a month and a half after all the students are gone, but we'll end it on June 30th and then get ready for the next year. Financially, the next thing you're going to see for approval will be the appropriation resolution for fiscal 19, and that'll be based upon all the budget effort that we've gone through here the past couple of months to prepare for that. So that concludes my report for the monthly financial report. I don't know whether you want to make any comments about FAC, but I'll answer questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Any comments or questions? Mr. Preddy?
Well, I just want to say thank you once again to Stan and our team and Mr. Gooding and everyone that helps us go through these monthly financials and our budgeting processes. This month that we just passed in our finance meeting, we finished up on our personnel budgets, and we also got into our capital budgets. As you know, we are continuing to want to look at what this district does, what we need to do, especially when in response to our levy request, our Operation Fix-It, our $500,000 that goes to new build or to OFSC buildings, or $500,000 for permanent improvement, which is sort of, you know, monies that we can use for deferred maintenance and capital refreshments and various other things. This is a good way for us to start looking at things not only in 1 year, but in 5-year increments, to try to keep that sort of goal out there constantly. These are items that we really need to look at, and Maurice and his team really did a fantastic job breaking out our various capital budgets and what not only what we have, but what else we need. We have a lot of deferred maintenance, and we have a lot of future things we need to do, you know, to the tune of several $100 million when it comes to deferred maintenance. So we still have a lot of things that are underfunded in the school district, and we need to talk about that, talk about what our dollars go to when we ask voters for it, when we get money from the state. What are we doing? What do we plan on doing? And what do we still need? Air these things out, show them to the public, and not only sort of help ourselves sort of plan, but help the public see what we're doing with their tax dollars, whether it's things that we need to fix or things that we need to purchase, like large bus projects, things like that. We have a lot of school buses in this district. We need to start planning more strategically, and Maurice and his team have been doing a really fantastic job. So I just want to say thank you. We're going to have another board finance meeting coming up in June, right? I'm getting confused with part of the month we're in right now. And we're going to continue looking at the capital budget, different ways to look at it, and look at those different pots of money, how it affects our different buildings. So we're going to continue to look at that, hone that. This is just another step. As you know, we started this whole Finance and Appropriations Committee, some time ago, and started out with non-personnel budgets. Now we're getting our capital budgets, and we're working towards our personnel budgets. Unfortunately, with school financing, it's kind of clunky, and it's not very clean, and it's very confusing. So we're trying to break out all these things and display them to the public, and allow ourselves to use them as a tool to look towards the future, what we're going to need to do from the district, what we have on hand, and why it is. What is the behavior behind that? And I think we're doing a fantastic job. Like I said, I remember being on when I first got on the board. We would talk about various financial issues, and you didn't get much from the public. Now, when I talk to people about what's going on in Columbus City Schools, and I hear it on the street and at work and everywhere I go, people understand what's going on. They understand the different dynamics. They understand the stresses of asking people for property taxes. They understand that the state budget changes every 2 years, and there are a lot of things that we do that are underfunded. People pick up on that now, and it's been really amazing. And it's because of our team and our staff and our teachers and everyone here that have been making that better, and this board for making it a priority. So we've come a long way. We still got a lot of work to do. We're constantly budgeting, is what this calendar is starting to look like from our standpoint as a school district in our planning. Again, kudos to everyone who's done a fantastic job. I look forward to continue to work on these processes, find the right times to go through these different processes. When's the best time of the year to go through your non-personnel budget, your personnel budget, your various capital budgets? How are we going to sort of structure this going into the future? That way, when I'm gone and I'm not on the board and we're all gone, we have these practices in play for the future board members, future superintendents, and make sure that we're serving our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Peretti. Any other questions or comments related to the Treasurer's report? Mr. Treasurer?
One other thing related to the 5-year forecast, and I know Board Member Brad asked me if I was going to say anything about the forecast earlier today, and I said I really didn't plan on it, but now I've changed my mind. One of the things that we do is we have notes that go along with the 5-year forecast, and they should be out there on board docs for your reading pleasure. But Dr. Roush helps me write the very first, he writes, he didn't help me write it, he writes it, I'll say that. And it has to do with giving the reader kind of a general economic tone that we live in. And we look to the state and documents that OBM puts out relative to the state's budget and their receipts and expenditures and how they're performing. And what is written there is, I look at it this way: the picture can be either good, okay, it could be kind of neutral, or it could be bad. And the last time we got around to this, the picture that we wrote probably a year ago, as you recall, wasn't so rosy for the state. They were facing a deficit as well. This picture is better, in a word. Thank you for that nod. It's better. And what does that mean for us? Well, as you know, one of the big variables for us in the forecast and one of the looming issues on the horizon is, what will that state budget look like? So at least as of, I think the document was dated like May 5th or May 8th, May 10th, the document was, so as of May 10th, that picture is okay. It's more favorable. So that just raises that probability that maybe our assumptions about state funding for schools will be a reality. But I'd rather be in that position than, hey, look, the state their economy doesn't look that good. So that's good news, and that just kind of sets the tone. But with the forecast, next month this could all be different. But at least for now, I think that's noteworthy. So we do kind of preface our forecast with trying to put you in that frame of mind for what are we looking at when we put that document together. So That's it.
Thank you. All right, if there's nothing else from or for the treasurer, we'll move, Board Member Hudson, I beg your pardon.
Thank you, President Baker. I just want to acknowledge the capital budget for the board. For the future, this will allow the board and the community to see what we spend building by building. And I think, really respond to some questions about disparities or not, and it's apples to apples. And which is, I think, a valuable tool. Mr. Oldham's team and I know the treasurer's team and others have worked so hard for so long. This has been something that's been in the works for a while. But I'd like to just emphasize to my colleagues that I think this tool, once it's almost, I know it makes it sound like we're doing the Sistine Chapel ceiling, but once this is done, I think this will, just like our budget process, be a model for other urban districts and large districts. It's really some fantastic work. So thank you so much for all your efforts.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on then. Thank you very much. We'll take up our consent agenda now, so the chair will entertain a motion that we adopt it as presented.
So moved. Second.
All right, are there questions or comments on any piece of legislation contained within the consent agenda this evening, colleagues? I don't see any. So, Mr. Treasurer, call the roll.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes, but I abstained from 12-6, 12-6, 12-7, and 14-2.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Now, I've had a request that we dispense with announcements this evening unless anyone has anything that they really do want to share, because we do still have a long evening ahead of us. Board Member Reyes?
Just really quickly, I just wanted Ms. Gillison to give a brief synopsis of Children's Day this Saturday, very brief, and then we'll follow it up next week with some visuals.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, President Baker. To Board Member Reyes. This past Mother's Day weekend, all 109 schools participated in National Children's Day. We celebrated our students, families, and our communities. All departments came together, from operations, accountability, academic services, for one purpose and one purpose in mind: to celebrate our community. And our coordinator did a fantastic job. The sun shined Saturday on CCS.
Thank you. That was an awesome report. All right. So anything else? Anyone? Yes, Mr. Vice President?
Thank you. I know I said I wouldn't, but thank you for Children's Day. It was awesome. I had the opportunity to visit Columbus North International and also East High School. The hot dogs are great. Everything was wonderful about that weekend. I was really, really impressed and excited about how all of the schools came together in any given building and really premiered the students, premiered the parents, gave parents an opportunity to get visual and learn more about the schools and what opportunities lay in the district. So always a blessing, and so glad to have attended.
Board Member Reyes?
One more thing. I just want, I mentioned earlier the Seniors to Sophomore program. I just want to give another plug for that. Those that are in the district that do not know what this is, in Columbus City Schools, you get the opportunity during your senior year to actually earn college credit. Our students that had the pleasure of meeting on Thursday night attended classes in Columbus State, at Ohio State University, and Otterbein University, meaning you're taking a full schedule of classes at the university level, so much so that when you graduate from Columbus City Schools, you're actually a sophomore at the particular university that you choose. So I just want to encourage our students to please look into it. There wasn't enough students in the room. Very, very proud. There was a couple of our young scholars that were here tonight that attended. And I want to reiterate, this is free 1 year of college paid by Columbus City Schools and our partners. I Know I Can and several other partners in addition to the university. So please, students out there that are currently juniors, please look into our seniors to sophomore program. If you have any questions, talk to your principals and your counselors.
Thank you. And with that, I'll call on the Vice President to offer a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is recommended that the Board of Education recess into executive session per Section 121.22G1 Ohio Revised Code to consider the discipline or dismissal of a public employee.
Second.
Motion, and we have a second. Mr. Treasurer?
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you. The board will now recess into executive session and will adjourn from those chambers without returning to these. Thank you. Have a good evening. Be careful out there in the weather.